So today I'm going to talk to you about something very, very important, and this is at the core of what we do at IndigoLearn. We believe students of CA must study in English. They should use English medium books, English medium lectures. They should start thinking in English. I know it may sound counterintuitive to a lot of you, but believe me friends, this is for your own benefit. A lot of students have asked us right from the time when we started about 6-7 years ago, why do you not teach in Hindi, or why do you not teach in Telugu, or why do you not teach in Tamil? The reason is very simple. It is not because I like one language, I do not like one language or anything like that. If you want to know, I actually know 4 languages. In my mother tongue Telugu, I know Tamil, I know Hindi, and I know English. All 4 of them I know decently well. In fact, Suraj, my co-founder, he knows many more languages. He in fact knows Bengali, he knows Kannada, he knows Marwadi, he knows Hindi, English, Telugu. So he is also a multilingual person. And believe me friends, the reason for you to learn or to prepare for your CA exams in English is for your own good, and the reasons can be classified into 2 parts. One is your exam. This is very, very important. A lot of students think, or a lot of students actually believe that it is important to understand. But please note, my friends, it is important to let the other person who is the examiner also know that you understand. This is not an oral examination, it's a written examination. 99% of students, write exams in English. Even though there's an option of Hindi, 99% of the CA students write exam in English. Right? So it is important that not only do you understand the subject, but you also are able to communicate to the evaluator that you have understood the subject. Your answers, your solutions, they should reflect that you have understood it. And when you are writing in English, it is extremely important that you write in the professional English and not in some English which is not suitable for professional environment. And I know a lot of us would have not necessarily studied in English medium. Somebody would be from Hindi medium, Tamil medium, Telugu medium, multiple medium. But the language of the world with respect to professional communication is English. We may like it, we may not like it, but that is the reality. Okay, so my suggestion from an exam perspective, why you should learn in English is, first is keywords. If you attend classes in English, the faculty, we at IndigoLearn use very simple English. A lot of people think that we use fancy language. Hardly. We very rarely use fancy language. Sometimes I end up using some complicated word. I actually explain the meaning of the word also. Okay. The reason why you should learn in English is you will remember the keywords. Now, if I explain everything to you in Hindi, but only the keywords in English, you will remember the keyword, but you will not remember what to write before and after. In exam, it is not just about the keyword, but also presenting the keyword in the right sentence format. So, keywords plus right sentence. If you learn, if you prepare, if you write your notes in English, you will be able to answer properly in English in your exam. It is very, very important. If you learn it in Hindi, see, you may be great with respect to concept, but if you are not able to communicate to the evaluator that you know it using the right keywords and using the right, framing the right sentences, you have lost half the battle. Okay, this is first. Second, I know a lot of students, and even I used to do, okay, even now sometimes I do when I'm thinking of very serious problem in math or something which has equations, I tend to think in Telugu because that's my mother tongue. Okay, my whole mind goes into Telugu. And then I am trying to understand it in my mother tongue and then convert it into English. And this is a problem for all of us. This is a problem for all of us. But if you study in English, you can avoid this to a large extent, especially when you are trying to, you will not make grammatical mistakes, or you will not waste time in translation. You will not waste time in translation. You should learn to think in English. I know it's a tough task, but you should learn to think in English. Instead of thinking, 1 ke saath 2 jodenge to 3 aayega. No, 1 plus 2 is 3. Right? This is a very simple thing. Let us say you think of something in SFM or FR, where you're talking about 4-5 numbers together. You're talking about deep concepts like, call option or put option or something like that. You should learn to think in English, because then you'll not waste time in the examination trying to translate. Because I know a lot of students do this translation exercise. Please think in English so that you don't have to face this problem of translation. And when will you be able to think in English? When you start practicing. So my suggestion, start attending English lectures. I know there are phenomenal teachers in Hindi. Please ask your teachers to give you English lectures. That is my suggestion. I'm not saying that please leave your faculty and come to me because I teach English. No, that if some of you want to do, please do. But please ask your lecturers to give you lectures in English. It makes a lot of difference. Then theory subjects. Theory subjects are the worst. If you look at the feedback that examiners give or evaluators give post-exam, they very clearly they say people are not able to comprehend. Comprehend means understand, or they are not able to communicate what is expected of them. So especially in theory subjects where you have to write a lot of explanation, right? If you learn it in your mother tongue, or if you learn it in a regional language, if you learn it in a language that is not English, it will take you a lot of time to write it in proper language when it comes to the exam. You will end up writing words that have no sense, that are grammatically incorrect, where you will write bits and pieces like, SM. A lot of people, what they do is they remember the side heading. And then when EIS also to a large extent, strategic management, EIS, audit, they remember the side heading, they don't know what to write inside. That will not happen if you put in effort to learn the subject in English language, because you are understanding that particular topic entirety in English. You will not be searching for words, you will not be searching for grammar, you will not be searching for explanation in English. Okay, so theory subject specifically, my suggestion, please take English language classes. Finally, it gives you a lot of confidence. Believe me, if you study in English and if you're confident, and it is not, you start studying in English and immediately you'll get confidence. No, it is a lot of effort. Initially, you will fail. You will not be able to understand. You'll feel that things are not going well. You'll feel that, where have I landed? Let me go back to Hindi or Tamil or whichever language in which you're studying. Please don't do that. Please put an effort for few days or few weeks, and believe me, you will pick up the language. If you pick up the language, the amount of confidence that you will have when you're attempting the paper will be very high, because you're writing in English. You're not trying to waste time with grammar. You're not trying to waste time with ability to explain a complex topic. Think of this, think of law. Your examination, law, let's say there are specific aspects of law where, corporate law, where they say, whether this particular aspect is right or not. Okay, when you're reading law, when you're reading Companies Act, there are usage of words like notwithstanding, provision, considering this, you will have double negatives. It's a very convoluted way in which a law is made. Your answer need not be convoluted, but your answer should reflect the fact that you have understood everything else that is required as per the provisions of law. So, especially when it comes to understanding the law as well as responding to a question on law, your command over English language is extremely important. So I fundamentally believe in this whole approach called Perto, where 20% of the efforts give you 80% of the results. Why is this relevant? See, even among students, right, I fundamentally believe that there is this Perto will apply, but here it applies in a slightly different manner. So there are 80% of the people here, there are 20% of the people here. You can probably make this 10% and this another 10%. This 10%, no matter how they study, whether they study in English, whether they study in Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, whatever language it is, these fellows will succeed in life. And when I say fellows, both men and women, okay, guys and girls, they will succeed in life. For them, medium of instruction is irrelevant. They are super sharp, super smart, super intelligent. There are 10 people for whom language is not the issue. No matter what you do, they find it very, very difficult. Okay, these are superstars, and these are people for whom CA is not made. Okay, but then there are these 80% who are people like you and me. We are average people. Okay, for us, if we study in our mother tongue, that is what gets imprinted in our mind. We cannot automatically, shift easily from English to Hindi to Tamil to Telugu or multiple languages. It takes us time, right? I am part of that because I think, and the reason why I'm saying is a lot of times I think in my mother tongue for certain aspects. For certain aspects, I think in English, but for a lot of aspects, I think in my mother tongue. So for me also, if I'm taught in English, I will start thinking in English. If I'm taught in Hindi, I will start thinking in Hindi. This happens to me. Right? If I'm speaking in Telugu, I keep thinking in Telugu. So we are people for whom language is, the medium of instruction plays a very large role. And for people like us, if we don't learn in English, we are the ones who will suffer. Whereas these superstars, no matter which language, even if you don't teach them, they will pass. So please keep these superstars aside. Please keep these superstars aside. Think of average crowd of 80% of the people for whom the language or medium of instruction plays a very large role in the way they understand, in the way they replicate in the exam hall. And I belong to this. And I believe a lot of students belong to this. So my strong suggestion is, if you need to be confident of the way you write an exam, if you need to be, covering all these aspects, using keywords with right sentences, not wasting time on translation, ability to explain keen aspects of law, finer aspects of law, get great confidence, my strong suggestion, please learn it in English. Please don't go for Hindi plus English also, pure English. Okay, this is from exam perspective. Then comes the career perspective. See, most of your job interviews are in English. You tell me which MNC or which Big Four will interview in Hindi or Tamil or Telugu or whatever. Nobody does that. Whether you are working in NCR, Delhi, Mumbai, Pune, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and then you cannot blame people that somebody ranker has got a great salary package. I am also first attempt pass, or I am second attempt pass, but I am not getting package. Arey boss, communication is equally important. It is not just subject knowledge. Because your interview question, in job interview, some of them have group discussion, some of them have some kind of test, some of them have some kind of direct personal interview. If you are not able to communicate in English language, why will the other party or the recruiter hire you when there is somebody else who is willing to speak in English properly? That is where the whole game changes. It is very, very important that you are, not only do you know the subjects, your FR, SFM, auditing, financial management, accounting, all this income tax, GST, not only are you aware of those subjects, but you are able to articulate key points or finer points of those subjects in language that the other party understands, English. It is unfortunate, but it is English in which they understand. MNC is Big Four, everybody uses that language. See, eventually they may all be speaking in Hindi when they are working, but your interview is not in Hindi, no? Interview is not in Telugu, no? Interview is not in Tamil, interview is not in Kannada. If you are so hell-bent on your language, then your opportunities shrink. You need to widen the opportunities, not shrink your opportunities. Okay, so that is one very important reason why I believe you should learn in English, so that when your question is asked in an interview, you can actually respond it in proper English. Then official work. You tell me how. All of us use WhatsApp. All of us use most of the social media. We type in, use English text, English ABCD to type in Hindi. Ha, aa jao, jaiye, ha, tu, main. We type it in English language, right? But do you write your emails like that? Do you write official communication like that? If, let's say, income tax department sends you a notice, they send a notice both in Hindi as well as in English. That Hindi is very high-end Hindi. Lot of us cannot understand. Will you respond it to that in English, or will you respond it in Hindi? Most of the communication by lawyers, by CAs, everybody is actually in English to the department. At that point of time, you will be thinking, aisa hua, vaisa hua, ala hindi, ila hindi, apdi ache, ipdi ache, and then you will try and convert it into English, then you will translate, and then you will paste it. How will you do all of that? Your communication with the department also has to be in English. When you go and meet an officer, with the officer you may speak in Hindi, if the officer knows Hindi. Officers of income tax department are IRS officers. IRS officers come from across India. People who may come from northeast, people may come from south, people may come from west, people may come from north and central part of India. Not everybody knows Hindi. How will you communicate to the officer? You have to communicate in English, right? So very, very simple. This is logical, right? I shouldn't be explaining, but I am having to explain this because there is a lot of feedback from students saying, sir, why don't you introduce in other languages? This is a professional course. This is not your 10th standard, 12th standard or degree. This is a professional course. You are a professional. A professional is supposed to communicate with wider audience, and the audience includes everybody, and everybody by default understands English. Okay. Then letters and emails, what I said. In office, you may speak in any language. But if, let's say, there is a meeting, in which there are people from multiple parts of India. Somebody doesn't know Hindi, somebody doesn't know Tamil, somebody doesn't know Telugu. How will you communicate? You cannot say everybody should know this language, everybody should know that language. No, that is not. You can say if you want to, but the other party doesn't know. What do? You will push that person out of the meeting. You will not take decisions. It doesn't work that way, right? So, official work as well as letters and emails, you will use English language. For that, you need to have good command. That good command, if you don't have it, if you have not studied in an English medium school, at least now during CA preparation, even if you are a final student, please start listening to lectures in English. This is my humble request. Finally, articulation. When you are, most of the jobs, right? Once you progress, once you move from level, as an entry-level management trainee or entry-level manager to, let's say, mid-level manager, DGM, GM or something like that. The way you will convince people, or actually, in fact, because I have been there, I am telling you, most of your time and effort goes not in doing individual operations. It is actually managing a team. And when you are managing a team, and when you are managing other team, when you are interacting with other teams, you should be able to articulate your point of view effectively. And other teams are not necessarily managed by people who know your mother tongue. There may be somebody who doesn't know your language. How will you convince that other person? You need to be able to articulate in a language in which everybody understands. You need this articulation power. No, is one of the most important things. I know I have a lot of love for my mother tongue. I have love for every language in the country. Okay, but the official mode of communication from a professional perspective, I am not saying official language of India. I am saying official mode of communication from a professional perspective is English. By default, it is English. Whereas the working methodology, or you may speak in any language that you are comfortable with your friends and your peers. But when it comes to professional environment, English is the default language. So my sincere request, friends, because 99% of you are going to write exam in English, please take English classes. We offer in English. If somebody else is offering English, please take that. If your existing faculty, very good faculty who teaches in Hindi or English, please ask them to offer 100% English lectures. Why? Because it is important for you. It is not because you want to check whether that faculty can teach in English or not. No, it is important for you from an exam perspective and career perspective. And I am speaking this specifically for people who have not studied in English medium. I know it is not easy. I know it is tough. In fact, Suraj will release a video very shortly where he talks about his experience, because he studied from a place in Nepal where they had a very different accent. So he had to necessarily spend a lot of effort trying to learn right pronunciation. Otherwise, people would make fun of him. It is what it is, right? In professional environment, if you don't use the right pronunciation or if you don't speak properly, people will make fun of you. See, today they may not make fun of you on your face, but behind you, what is this communication? Kya bol raha hai? What is he saying? I'm not able to understand. That is generally the way people think. You may fault them saying that no, aisa nahi sochna chahiye, you shouldn't think like that. No, but that is how it works. That is how we are all human, right? That is how we all behave. So my suggestion is, please start watching classes in English. So this is the summary. This is the summary of what I had to say. I hope you take this in the right spirit. Don't take this in negative spirit. I am not against Hindi. I am not against Tamil. I am not against Telugu. I am saying English is required for you to progress in your career. It is required for you to succeed in exams. That's all. If that is the takeaway that you have from this particular video, I am more than satisfied that I have done my job. Okay. All the very best.